before I moved to New York City, I thought I'd be able to publish it this fall, like this September, because the storyline starts in September. So I want to launch it in September because I have a whole thing planned. Once I have that following and, like, you know, cute little surprises and bonuses and merch and stuff associated with all the things related to the book, because you can't just launch a book, you have to launch an experience. I just did some more video editing. I have edited and scheduled through September 21st, so I still have 9 more videos to edit before I'm finished scheduling the 30 videos in 30 days challenge, and it has kicked my butt. I have realized that I have a max capacity of 4 videos a day if I have nothing else going on that day, and it takes me about an hour start to finish, like from opening up DaVinci Resolve to hitting schedule on YouTube takes about an hour if nothing goes wrong, and that's with my videos being only about 5 minutes, and very, very minimal editing. I'm literally just splicing it up, adding a title slide and some intro music, and calling it a day. So in terms of sustainability, I don't know how sustainable doing a lot of videos like this are. I don't think I'll do another 30-day challenge just because I'm tired. But I do think after this, I'm going to start doing 2 videos a week. One on more of the educational kind of content, like what type of videos that the challenge has, where I'm talking about a specific subject, and how to break into that career, and then a second one being like a little vlog on my own creative journey and my own process of pursuing creative freelance projects. All that to say, I was feeling a little discouraged. I know it's like super early, it's only like day 9, and I don't expect big results from this project. I wanted to see which topics would be most appealing. Like once these videos have been out for a couple of weeks, I expect there to be some kind of uptick in particular videos because of the topic. And then from there, I'll build out a content strategy for YouTube based on some of the topics that pick up quicker than others. But I thought that there would be more views than there have been, considering how much keyword research I've been doing. But there was, I literally just had someone comment on a video that was posted today, like this morning, about how much he appreciated the video, and the video was what you're good at versus what you love, and it talked about how it's okay that they're not the same thing, and it's okay that you use what you're good at to leverage pursuing what you love. So I'll put a link, I'll tag it, put a link up to that video, but it was just really nice to see that comment, because that's exactly like one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to create content like that. Like, I want to be able to help other people feel encouraged in their creative projects, and so it encouraged me to know that he was encouraged by my video, so it makes me feel better about putting in all this time. I mean, it's a lot of work doing all these videos, like a lot of work. part-time job in and of itself that doesn't pay yet. So I forgot my headphones, but I decided to take a break from video editing and go on a walk to a neighborhood I haven't been yet, and go to Chelsea's flea market, and then when I get back I will do some writing because I haven't done enough work on the latest revision of my book to be. So I'm going to do that, and hopefully this little morning trek will inspire me to write. And I've already, actually on the walk, I've already been inspired to write a couple of scenes, which I have to write those down before I forget. But it's a nice walk, and always does the heart good. I just walked like 20 minutes to get someplace, only to find that they were closed today. So, yeah, that's okay. I needed to take a long walk. I haven't done that enough. So, on to the next stop on my little adventure for the morning. So I just got back. Exploring new neighborhoods is fun until you realize you have walked 20 blocks away from home. So I just got back, and I need to go back out because I have to grab a few things from the grocery store. But I went to, I'm just wiping the sweat off my face because it's bad. I went to Chelsea Flea Market. And just because, like, I've never been and I like flea markets, I like antiques. If you've followed my channel or followed me on social, you know that I, for about 6 months, worked for an antique gallery. And so I've gained an appreciation for old things because I feel like even 50 years ago, things were made and built better than the commercialized stuff that we see now. But anyways, so I went to Chelsea's Flea Market, which was fun to see all the things because there's a lot of vintage stuff, and I'm a sucker for teacups. And there was a really nice collection of Bavarian teacups at this one place. And I almost left without buying anything because I went mostly because I'm like, I'm already thinking of Christmas gifts, even though it's September, but it's better to think ahead about these things just because I know from my job where we have a lot of e-commerce clients that logistics and shipping and stuff is out of whack and will be out of whack for the foreseeable future. So I want to buy as locally as I can for Christmas gifts this year, and think ahead. So I did end up finding a few things for my mom, my grandma, my aunt, my sister, and my dad. So that was kind of fun. Small things, because we do small gifts. Nothing crazy, but I almost left without buying anything because I was a little bit overwhelmed because there was just a lot of stuff, and I didn't want to touch anything because it all looked, not all of it looked valuable, but a lot looked valuable, and I didn't want to break anything. I overheard a vendor talking about how someone broke a $2,000 piece of merchandise that he had to throw away in the dumpster, and I'm like, I don't want to do that. It's just proper etiquette not to touch if you don't intend to buy. But yeah, I'm glad I found something. And then I ended up going to the, what's it called, Union Square. I think it's called Union Square Green Market. I ended up going there, and I thought I was gonna buy produce because I do need some fresh fruits and vegetables. I have frozen stuff, which will do for now, but it was so overwhelming. It was a lot of vendors selling very similar things, and it was a lot more people than I thought there would be, and I just got overwhelmed. And I'm like, instead of buying produce, I ended up buying some dried lavender and these dried flowers that I'm gonna decorate with somehow. I think because I have like a little shelf area over there that I want to decorate for fall vibes, even though like there's not much I can do to decorate this place. I do want to put a couple more things on the walls, but there's a couple of stores in Brooklyn that I want to check out, some thrift stores and vintage antique stores that I think I might be able to find some cute things to hang up on the walls for fall time. I also have this cute wooden star that my grandma gave me for Christmas one year. I think it was last year. I haven't been able to find a place for it because it's kind of big, but I think I'll wrap it in something and hang it up on the wall. But yeah, so that has been my morning. I'm gonna go get the produce that I ended up not getting from the green market in Union Square. And I need to eat something and throw something in the crock pot for dinner. And then I'm gonna write. So there's that. It's like almost 2 o'clock. What time is it? Yeah, it's almost 2 o'clock. So my little morning trip turned to be a much bigger ordeal than I thought. Should still be fine. So now I'm going to throw some ground beef and sweet potatoes into a crock pot for sweet potato sloppy joes for dinner tonight. And that usually lasts me like 3 or 4 meals. And then I am gonna start writing here. My feet hurt. I can't wait to make some tea and get some writing done, because even though I was inspired to write a couple scenes that aren't in this current book to be, I still want to write them down in one of my notes documents that I have, just for future reference. The book that I'm working on right now, I've worked on it, I mean, this project started way back in like 3rd grade. It's obviously come a long way since then. I mean, back in 3rd grade, the main characters were living in a treehouse, and that's not the case anymore. I still have some of my old drafts from like middle school, and it's pretty embarrassing. Like, I didn't know what a paragraph was. It was just giant blocks of text. And obviously now I've refined my craft, and especially after publishing the first book, which I have a video about that experience. Not the greatest experience, and it really kind of pushed me to learn everything I can about marketing, because, well, you can watch the full video if you want to, but the gist of it is I had a plan. I was published through a small indie publishing house, and I had this like full 18-month plan using mostly PR tactics to help with the book launch, but then they wanted to publish the book in like 3 months, and at the time I was still in college, and I was just getting into my public relations studies, And I knew then, I'm like, that's not possible. Like, you can't have a proper launch without like a big budget. And I signed on with them thinking that they had a budget, and they didn't. They were 100% expecting all their authors to foot the bill, which is fine. Like, that's fine if you were upfront about that, but they weren't. And I wouldn't have signed if I had known that. So, lesson learned, and it pushed me to learn everything I can about marketing communications. And now I'm in New York City working in a marketing agency. Have my MBA in marketing, all that kind of stuff. I am wiser for it. So this book, I want to launch it right. Like, I want to launch it right. And I've been sharing some tips, and I've been, practicing what I preach with what I have shared and how to build an author platform and all that stuff. I mean, this YouTube channel is one aspect of building my personal brand as a creative professional and as an author. So I've been wanting to get this. I feel like it's really, really close. Before I moved to New York City, I thought I'd be able to publish it this fall, like this September, because the storyline starts in September. So I want to launch it in September because I have a whole thing planned. Once I have that following and, like, cute little surprises and bonuses and merch and stuff associated with all the things related to the book, because you can't just launch a book, you have to launch an experience. And I want to do it right. So while I want to take my time, I also just want to hit the rubber to the road. So I'm gonna try and wrap up another revision by the end of the month and pay someone for what's it called? An editorial assessment. An editorial assessment is basically like a diagnosis of the state of your book. And if you do an editorial assessment first, it can kind of save you money in the long run, because you could end up paying for a very specific type of editing that your book didn't actually need. So if I get an editorial assessment done, they can tell me your book needs this, your book doesn't need that kind of thing. But I feel like it's in a really good place, just because like I myself don't want to hurt myself here. I am trained in copywriting. I am trained in line editing. That's part of my previous jobs, my previous experience. I minored in journalism, so we were drilled on AP style editing and all that stuff. So I think I'm in a decent place with all that. So anyways, I want to start building out the team, because something that I learned the hard way last time was that you really do need a team, and a team costs money. And I do want this to eventually be a passive revenue stream, not just from this book. There's going to be lots in the franchise, and I do intend on turning into a franchise. Like, intellectual property is currency, and yeah, I feel like there's going to be stories outside of the original cast of characters that need to be told. And just all sorts of things. So I'm excited for it. And I just need a little bit more traction on building out and setting aside some funds for the marketing aspect of things. Even as I'm working on the next books within the series and within the world building that I'm doing, working on some ancillary products and stuff like that, because I mean, I didn't really mean for this to turn into a whole rant about being an authorpreneur thing. I'm just chopping sweet potatoes, guys. I'm making dinner. Did not intend for this to be a whole thing. I mean, I'm gonna do more videos in depth about leveraging intellectual property to create a franchise. So maybe I should just stop now and save that juicy stuff for later. So it's 8 o'clock, and if you were to see my little setup here, it's kind of ridiculous. But I am working on, technically, this is the 6th revision since 2020, so the file is labeled R6, because that's the nomenclature I've been using. But as I've been reading back through this, there's, the way I do my revisions is that I focus on fixing just a handful of things. I don't try to overwhelm myself by fixing everything in one revision. I will fix, maybe 5 things in each revision, and then get those to a good point, and then go back through and fix the next thing. So what I've been doing for the last couple of revisions is focusing on a few different character arcs, because there's 12 characters that have POVs chapters. So like it's there's 5 acts in this book, and after the first act you start seeing the POV of the other main players in the story. So I've been going through and fixating on just a handful of different character arcs, and so for this revision I'm trying to catch some formatting things in the way that I structure some of the POVs, and like the naming of some of the chapters, like catching names, because each person's relationship with another character, they're called different things, kind of like how in real life, like you might have a nickname amongst your family, but your friends don't call you by that nickname, or your friends will call you by a nickname, but your coworkers won't call you by that nickname. I'm kind of sorting out those details in this revision, as well as fixing some issues with one of the main character's character arcs. Like I had a trajectory for her, but some of her core motivations kind of lost their sight, so I'm going back through and giving her more depth. So that's what I'm focusing on for this revision, and I'm about 1/5 of the way through. Just got done with the first act, reading back through it, and I do have a friend who's beta reading it, and her feedback has been like super good, because like the way that I write is very tactical. I'll call it tactical, and she's been absolutely paramount in recognizing where characters need to have more emotional reactions to certain things that's happening around them. So I'm really leaning on her feedback for this. And then when I go into editing, Like there's a few other types of, like there's a couple other beta readers that I want to try and find before this hits, before this officially gets published and stuff like that. But so far so good. I feel like it's in a good place. But yeah, it's fun rereading some things, because like, especially since it's been a hot minute since I've read through some of the earlier chapters, so I see them with a fresh pair of eyes, and like I'm catching some small things here and there, not big, just tiny things. So I'm restructuring in the sentences every once in a while. But yeah, so that's just kind of like how I structure my revisions. I don't focus on fixing everything all at the same time. I focus on fixing a handful of things per revision and cycling through until all of the things in the checklist are taken care of. And then once I hand it off to an editor for an editorial assessment, then I will have a new checklist of things to fix before it's ready for publishing. But yeah, that's the update on my book to be. Yeah, if you'd like me to talk more about it, or like if there's something specific you guys want me to talk about in terms of my journey, like I'll be sharing more about it in like a weekly vlog. Not weekly in terms of like the book stuff, but like other things, other creative pursuits that I'm doing. But if there's anything like specific you guys would like me to talk about, just let me know in the comments, because I like talking about it and hopefully it helps. So yeah, I'm gonna keep working on this. You guys have a great day. Good night. I will see you later. Till next time.